Good evening, everyone. Elliot Grigg here from Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat with my esteemed colleague Owen McKendry. And we're going to take you through a fight video here, which is part of our series, which is kind of, I suppose, an award series for of the years, as it were. Others of which you'll be able to see on our channel, knockout fight of the year, etc., etc. But what we're going to bring you here today is the rather enticing performance of the year. So as the other ones have been structured, we're going to have one from the UK, so it's a UK performance, UK fighter, and one from an international. So let me first off say, Owen, thank you very much for joining me. Ask you the question how you're doing, and then following that result, we'll bounce in and take it away. So how are you doing, sir? How are you? Are you well?
Beautiful. Not too bad, mate. Good to be back for another video. Hopefully got some controversial opinions. Yeah.
No, you're
Delighted
very
to be
right. So
back.
we haven't actually spoken about these off air to try and I suppose what would be the word, trying to provoke or inspire some sort of authentic reaction. So without further ado, Owen, I'm going to ask you to introduce your UK performance of the year, please.
One that may not have been expected. I'm going to go for Sonny Edwards versus Mohammed Wasim. I believe it was in Abu Dhabi, somewhere like that. Start of the year, I think it was around March time. I think because of the start of the year, it might be one that slipped people's minds. I think that was a real coming out for Sonny. He didn't. I personally gave him. I think I gave Wasim 2 or 3 rounds, and even the 2 or 3 you give him, it's probably being generous. You never see in a 10 round, 12 round fight, and even 8 round fights, really, you never see anyone get the full amount. So you got to try and give Wasim a bit of credit, but I thought Edwards was ridiculously good that night, slipping and sliding all over the place, and showed that he's probably at the moment top 3 British boxers that we've got on these shores.
No, I thank you for that, Owen. I actually, I remember that fight, and also I would personally also agree with you. I think Wasim had only had one fight, was against Smith Lane, that he'd lost previous to that as well.
Yeah,
So it's like,
for
yeah, I
the
remember
same
that fight,
title.
great performance, Sonny. But I actually agree with you. I think Sonny's one of, if not, I suppose you've got to put Fury in that bracket as well. Some of
Mm-hmm.
the bigger guys, but yeah, definitely up there, top sort of strata of British fighters. So yeah, no, that was a again. I was looking, thinking, what's he going to come out with? What's he going to come out with? And that's a credible choice. And thank you very much for sharing. I'm now going to leap in with my UK performance of the year, and then we're going to bounce back to Owen for his international performance of the year. So the performance that I'm actually going to talk about is also in the beginning of the year, so a month earlier than the fight that Owen was describing, and I'm actually chosen, not perhaps controversially, well, controversially in the sense that the result, but not controversially in the sense that the performance was outstanding, I thought, and that is going to be Jack Catterall versus Taylor. So that was his fight that took place in February 2022, unification fight for super lightweight belts. Scored 113, 112, 111, 114, and 112, 113 in favour of Taylor. But if we're looking obviously at the punch stats that were thrown around that night, of sort of I mean, just landed punches. You've got
Mm-hmm.
73 punches thrown, 31 landed to body, 120 thrown, only 18 from Taylor. Jabs 15% to 13%, but it was really in the sort of power punches landed. So 81 Catterall, 57 Taylor. Again, even jabs, 39 landed for Catterall, 16 Taylor. And there was something like he landed, 4 punches or something over the last 3 rounds. Taylor
Yeah.
just still got the decision, the hometown decision. So I think, I chose that for Jack Catterall because I almost feel like he should be the super lightweight champion,
Yep.
frankly, at this point in time. He isn't. They go again in the new year, which, for my opinion, I think Taylor will probably win, to be perfectly honest. I feel like Catterall's kind of climbed the mountain, performed very well. Taylor didn't perform very well at all. He's obviously got a lot more to his game than what he showed that night. But amazing performance from Jack Catterall there, and one that I think deserves celebrating, despite perhaps what some of the Edinburgh fans think. So yeah. Owen, any thoughts on that? On your thoughts on that fight? Similar to mine? Or
No,
different to mine?
I completely agree with yourself on that. Taking away the shocking result, the only people who thought Josh Taylor won that fight was Josh Taylor himself and Josh Taylor's trainer. Other than that, I think it was a surprise. I had Taylor before the fight as a pick. I thought he would have comfortably beat Catterall. Good boxer, Catterall, nothing against him, but I just thought, as cliche as it is, there is levels to boxing. and the level Josh Taylor's boxed at is a lot higher than Jack Catterall in the pro ranks. But Catterall come in and he was exceptional. Game plan hit the nail on the head. Rough Josh Taylor up. He was getting a lot of good work done on the inside. Taylor didn't like it. I think the low output from Taylor was a case of almost looking at his corner thinking, this isn't going as planned. What do I do here? So it's a good choice, to be fair. One that not many would say because they'd look at the result and say, well, Taylor won. But yeah, Catterall, performance of his career, and obviously got robbed.
No, I totally agree. I think it will be the performance of his career. I totally agree with that soundbite. But Owen, talking of performances, we come back to you now for perhaps the performance of your career, which is to describe your international performance of this year, please.
Slightly boring with this one, bit more of an obvious choice, but it's got to be Dimitri Bivol against Canelo. I think despite being the much bigger man going into it, a lot of people had Canelo as a favourite. Again, as the boxing hardcore sort of knew how big how mammoth a task it was, but obviously Canelo's sort of stardom within boxing, he reaches out to way further than the casuals. Reaches out to the casuals and past the hardcore. Bivol come in. I thought he got his game plan perfect. You know, Canelo went in with his tactics of working Bivol's arms. I mean, it's mental tactics, but we've seen it work for him. Bruise the arms up, take his output away. And to be fair, everything that Canelo threw, Bivol just shrugged it off, walked forward, and that again, almost like a coming out. Although Bivol was a decent name, as a world champion at the weight, everyone wants him to have the Beterbiev fight. Obviously, Beterbiev's fighting Yard. Chances of that happening are slim, and it's likely they're going to be a Canelo rematch. But I think Bivol was exceptional that night. He had the answer for everything, and anything Canelo come at him, he just sort of laughed it off. I think he actually hurt Canelo a few times, although it's hard to see because of how good Canelo is. And obviously people like that are good at hiding if they are genuinely hurt. But the shots Bivol was catching him with, I thought he was brilliant. And it's probably overall taking out international UK in general. I think it's my general performance of the year.
No, I think thank you very much for that eloquent breakdown. I actually agree with you. I think you could almost put Bivol in for a shout as well of being the sort of performer of the year. Obviously, he's had that fight against Canelo. He beat Ramirez, obviously, as well, who was undefeated this year. And I actually agree with you. It seems weird saying it, considering he was sort of world champion, but it was almost a breakout performance from Bivol because everyone was obviously expecting Canelo to kind of either go in there, survive, maybe nick a decision, like how it is with Canelo with these sort of money fights. But to actually see the decision go Bivol's way, UD, and like you said as well, like showed a lot of skill in that performance, and also like hurt him a few times as well. I don't think. Well, it shows, doesn't it, how good the performance was, and that people don't want the rematch. There's obviously that the option was there, but people are essentially just there's no need for this. We'd rather see Canelo maybe fight down to super middle or even at middle. Keep Bivol. I mean, Bivol was even talking about chasing him, wasn't he, to super middle, but which is potentially more of an intriguing possibility. But keep him up there, cruiser and light heavy and just do that. So yeah, that was a very commendable and for yourself a very fine performance in the form of the year international. I'm going to go probably actually with a bit of a left field one, considered, well, not left field in the fighter, but it could arguably not be as standout potentially as your one. More of a sort of, I suppose, maybe a heart over head. But it's a real favourite performance of mine actually this year from a guy who's fought a few times. And that is Chocolatito versus Martinez. Now, the reason I've chosen this is because I love Chocolatito for starters. But it's also the fact that Martinez, we all know Martinez is a flyweight world champion. But went up to fight a superfly against Gonzalez. Heavy punch, obviously, Martinez at that time. What he still is, obviously 14 KOs from his 19 victories. But I just thought the performance Chocolatito put on that night was an absolute masterclass. It was a UD, so 116, 112, 117, 110, 118, 110. Frankly, I think the 118, sort of 110 scorecard is actually probably more representative than the closer ones there. But it was an unbelievable performance. And from a pure boxing, so from a guy that's had a lot of miles on his clock, Chocolatito. So he's been in 55 fights, 41 KOs, one loss, obviously. KO loss, 4 losses in total. But it's obviously been in those trilogy with Estrada as well this year. But that performance that he put in against Martinez, I just thought, for the age you are, 34, 35 to come in and do that, just fantastic at that weight. Which is obviously doesn't seem to have the longevity of the bigger guys that maintain their power was fantastic. So yeah, that was my international performance of the year. Owen, is that credible? Would you like to? Do you think that's a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
No, absolutely a thumbs up. I think Chocolatito in the last couple of years has been written off as finished. I think he's one of them blokes that he's been around forever, and it seems like he's been in his 30s forever. Ever since I've watched him, he's just one of those who just seems he's just stayed at the same age and just hasn't gone away. But like you say, he was written off. I think after the trilogies as well, he's had. Yeah, can't disagree with that at all. I think he's one of those as well, sort of like your Pacquiao style fighters that he's just not going away. So even at his age, 35, 36, whatever he is, he's pulled out against a knockout artist as well to win by 8 rounds against someone with power like that. It speaks for itself, really. And again, it was probably more than 8 rounds. You could probably argue every round, but again, it doesn't happen. And yeah, brilliant choice again. A choice that doesn't necessarily always spring to mind straight away. But if you watch it back, I love Chocolatito. His longevity to be at the top of weights like that as well, where it's sort of fighters, they go under the radar for what they do at the lower weights, but he just defines any time, any place, anywhere.
No, unbelievable. I totally agree. And I think obviously there's some other names we could have potentially mentioned, other big fights, even from a British perspective, the likes of Cordina, KOing a girl. I don't know who saw that coming. Joe Joyce obviously had a good performance against Parker, and then internationally, I think of the ones I think off the top of my head would be Fundora had a good year.
Naira Inoue had a good year. Knocked out. That was insane.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So if you guys want to leave your comments, obviously, beneath this video, see if you agree with us or disagree with us. Our colleague Danny said the other day, if you think we're talking shit, then please let us know. But I think in the comments. But also, be open and expectant of some other content which is coming out. Obviously, like I said, there's the award shows for the year. There's other content to do with fights we'd like to see 2023. What's next for various fighters. And what the future may hold for next year primarily. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me, Owen, for this for what's been this fine review of 2022. And I look forward to more content from you and myself in 2023. Thank you.
Pleasure as always.